Collective thought power holds immense influence. This is why human consciousness is the biggest commodity on Earth. When two or more people gather with the same focused intention, an egregore can be formed, a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a distinct group of individuals. But an egregore is not just a product of thought, it's a result of shared emotional investment. So this basically follows the same formula as personal manifestation. You focus on a clear intention and fuel it with supportive emotions. It's your feelings and consistent attention that brings your vision from the astral realms into the physical reality. Now, almost everything in mainstream reality is an egregore. Consumers feed it and cultures protect it, and our societies run off of them. Just take a look here. Every logo is the face of an egregore. For more on societal egregores, I have an entire esoteric presentation you can watch here. Just click the link in my description or what's popping up here on the screen. However, when it's ancestral, that power is condensed. It's shaped by generations of the same emotions, beliefs, and it's this almost automatic, matter-of-fact attitude. It becomes innate, the deepest form of conditioning. Some of these ancestral links carry profound wisdom and strength, but others turn into bindings and cords of toxic karmic energy we'd rather not inherit and remain attached to, because then we pass it on to the next generation as well. So in this video, we'll explore how these ancestral patterns act like egregores, living fields of consciousness, and how we can finally loosen their hold. Hi, I'm Leslie. Welcome back to Ethereal Aeons. And if this concept sounds familiar, even though you've never heard it phrased this way before, that's because your intuition already understands it. You've seen it play out in family patterns, and you've felt it via emotions that don't quite feel like yours. So what we're talking about today goes beyond individual trauma or psychology. It's energetic inheritance. So what do egregores and ancestral patterns have in common? The key takeaway is thought power, collective thought power. And when blood, direct family is involved, you can imagine the passion and intensity that is magnified. Think of the love of your child, your mother, etc. The love you have towards them, or maybe resentment. It's always magnified when it comes to family. The ancestral collective thought power in your lineage is something you inherit, yet there is no physical representation to it, much less a fancy logo like a corporate or religious egregore I just showed you. But that doesn't mean it can't be felt and recognized by your body, your emotions, and your intuition. When you start to become conscious of what's really going on, things do become more clear, but they also become more complicated. Why are certain patterns so hard to break? We are the chain breakers in our family, or else you probably wouldn't still be watching. Think about it. There is an opposing force to your awakening. Our ego has been magnetized to its assigned ancestral patterns and inner egregores your entire life, all while you've also been steeped in the external matrix. So let's go even deeper. Toxic patterns, behaviors, karmic loops don't exist in isolation. This type of energy gathers in what feels like a dense, sludgy, energetic reservoir. Think of it like a giant pot or cauldron, where this type of heavy, stagnant, and ancestral energy exists. And it exists in the astral realm, but it's housed within certain people's energies as well. So just like negative energy in an aura can feel sludgy or dense, these collective energies also need a place to live. So they stick where there is an opening, a tear in the aura, or a weakened boundary. Of course, also a vibrational match. So the collective field where these energies reside has its own magnetic pool. When a person when a person's frequency aligns with that energy, even slightly, it can be attracted, influenced. It can attach itself like an energetic parasite. This is why being around negative people rubs off, or being around positive people rubs off. When it comes to a family household, this cauldron of energy is there sustaining itself off of a person or people in the house. Toxic traits and egregores are connected because an egregore is essentially its own living field of collective energy built by repeated thoughts, actions, and emotions. So toxic traits are like the hooks that egregores use to latch onto a host. So when you heal or release the trait or the wound, you cut off the energetic food supply and you weaken the hold of that egregore. So in other words, you're not just healing yourself, you're diminishing the source of the collective shadow. And this is the sacred work of the chain breaker. This is why chain breakers, the ones who are here to end cycles, must be especially conscious of their inner state. So if you're here to transmute ancestral patterns, if you've already transmuted a lot of other patterns from your childhood and you've done a lot of inner healing and now you're sensing that, hey, this really isn't coming from me anymore, it could be that you're transmuting ancestral patterns and you're naturally standing in a field of energy that wants to keep existing. And that's the resistance, is that egregore wants to remain. And so that's why its job is it's very parasitic. Its job is to continue existing. So the work isn't only to identify the pattern, but also to raise your vibration and heal the match that allows it in the first place. Breaking the chain, clearing the frequency match. We've all heard family members have their opinions on each other. And one of them that's very, very common is when someone says something like, oh, he's just like his father. Now, if you hear that a couple hundred times by the time you're 12, what kind of effect will that take? So another example is also when you step into a new timeline, the old version of you doesn't always disappear. It lingers. It lingers in who your family thinks you are, in the memory of other people's minds. It's this web that's created of perception. And so when you're still perceived as an old version of yourself, this could be why there could be resistance in your progress towards stepping into your ideal timeline that you've been working so hard to get to, because there is a collective perception of you that's being spoken. People are talking about you as if you're still the old version. People are expecting things from you as your old version. People are thinking about you as your old version. And this is a signal that gets sent out. And this without your consent. And it can take hold. It can shape itself towards you. It can influence you. And all it takes is an unhealed aspect of you for it to stick. Be sure to tell me in the comment section how you can relate to any of this so far. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to come into some solutions next, but it's important to remember that ancestral trauma and beliefs are the inherited egregores. So family fears on scarcity, shame, anger, behaviors, roles, these are passed epigenetically and energetically. A collective trauma of a culture as well. And this has to do with war, with slavery, with colonization. This is a living field that keeps people in certain states of being that they don't understand why. They know they're safe, but they don't feel safe. They know they're okay, but they're not okay. And so there can be things internally that are being processed. And this, again, is that field that you're just unaware of. And these patterns don't just float on by. They live through us until we witness and transform them. So recognizing the energies we've been feeding. It's time to include this in your shadow work if you're not already. Recognize the energies you're feeding. What kind of energy are you feeding when you're negative? What is your negativity directed towards? What time of day is it? What are the the beats to your negative patterns? How do they usually work out? What are the triggers? And really looking at it from a macro lens beyond just what you think it is, but really assessing the situation and really following the threads of the bigger web here. Manifestation, culture, and ancestry all operate through the same metaphysical law, the power of sustained emotional energy. True spiritual maturity is learning to reclaim that power from unconscious collective patterns and then reinvest it into higher creation, into whatever it is your soul has been wanting to bring forth in this reality. Not what the external has been wanting for you, not what your ego has been magnetized to. So not what others think of you, not what others expect of you, but really what you have truly wanted. Use that energy that has been wasted on that resistance you've been feeling externally and in the astral realms. Use that energy to then reinvent it into something of a higher creation for yourself. Because when you start to see these egregores not as distant or as abstract, but as living patterns that you've been participating in as well, you begin to understand how deeply your energy matters. Every decision you make is either for your higher manifestation or pulling you into something dense, like that cauldron of energy I spoke of, that really gets you nowhere in life besides cycles and loops. Awareness itself is the first act of liberation, because generations have been unconsciously feeding collective thought forms their entire lives. And now awareness turns that automatic feeding into a conscious choice. You do have a choice. They don't disappear overnight, these ancestral egregores, but they do dissolve through your consistency, through choosing awareness over repetition, choosing presence over being programmed. Each time you respond differently than your lineage did, you're not just healing yourself, but you're basically recoding all of that. You're recoding that field. I wanted to close off with some affirmations, some closing affirmations, and you can write these down and you can repeat them during your shadow work or during any sort of bhakti spiritual practice you may have. I no longer unconsciously feed the egregores of fear, guilt, or separation. I reclaim my energy from the collective and ancestral fields that no longer serve my evolution. I stand as the awakened consciousness, the one who remembers, redeems, and renews the lineage through love. With love, I release what is not mine to carry. I honor my lineage, but I stand in my own sovereignty. And you can definitely tweak those around. It's hard to speak for your entire lineage. So I know some people are a lot more into their ancestral lineage and they know a lot more about it and they already have contact with their ancestors, and others who don't. So you can definitely change it to however you feel comfortable. The point is here is to recognize that we do have a choice at the end of the day, and your consistency will begin to mesh and mold whatever webbing has been created due to the circumstances you were put into upon your incarnation. Thank you for being a part of this video. Be sure to share it with someone who's walking this path as well. Be sure to drop a comment and let me know how you relate to this. What aspect of this video could you totally relate to? And subscribe, hit the bell button. And to continue these practices off of YouTube and in a more energetic way, I have a free 4-day Qi Gong daily energy training quest available for you. You just have to sign up and you get immediate access to these classes that will help you learn to channel your energy and enhance it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon.